Gentlemen, let me speak plainly. If you are over 60 and wondering why your nights feel restless, why your mornings are quiet instead of powerful, why your erections no longer greet the dawn with strength, there is one nightly habit you may never have questioned. That harmless glass of plain water you sip before bed. You've been told for years it's healthy, hydrating, sensible. But for countless men I've seen in my clinic, that simple glass of water is silently undermining the very foundation of their masculinity. It fills the bladder, disrupts deep sleep, dilutes essential minerals, and robs the body of the very cycles that restore testosterone and circulation at night. The result? Weaker erections, restless sleep, and a creeping loss of confidence that makes a man feel far older than he is. I'm Dr. Jonathan Prescott. For more than 30 years, I've sat across from men in their 60s, 70s, even 80s, men who felt defeated, men who thought their best days were gone. And I've watched those same men transform when they finally understood how to work with their bodies instead of against them. Here's the paradox. You don't need another pill. You don't need another empty promise in a bottle. What you need is to restore the natural rhythm your body already knows, by swapping that one glass of water for something better. And tonight, I'll reveal 5 powerful drinks that work with your biology, nourishing your blood vessels, calming your nerves, supporting testosterone, and reigniting the natural erection cycle you thought was gone forever. Before we dive in, let me ask you a favor. If you haven't subscribed yet, do it now. Because I release guides like this every week, designed for men just like you, men who want to feel strong again without gimmicks or shame. And hit that like button. It isn't for me, it's for every man out there searching at 2 a.m. for answers. Each like pushes this message forward, reaching another man who might finally sleep through the night, who might finally wake up proud of his body again. And when this video strikes a chord, let me know in the comments. Type 1 if you're ready to reclaim your strength. Type 0 if you think I can do better. I read every single comment because your voice matters here. Now let's begin with the first drink. A warm, simple choice that has changed the lives of countless men in my practice. At first glance, it looks ordinary. But when you understand what it does inside your body, you'll never see your bedtime routine the same way again. Gentlemen, let me begin this first drink with a story that has stayed with me for years. James was 66, a retired carpenter with hands that told his life story. Thick-scarred, strong from decades of building homes and shaping wood, but when he sat down across from me, his voice was quiet, almost ashamed. "Doc," he said, "I used to wake up every morning with strength. I didn't even think about it, it was just there. But now, I wake up 2, sometimes 3 times a night to run to the bathroom, and when the morning comes, there's nothing left. It feels like my body's forgotten how to be a man." That weight in his words was heavy, because what James was describing wasn't just about erections. It was about losing a part of himself he thought would always be there, the quiet confidence of waking each morning with proof of his vitality. When I asked James about his nightly routine, the answer was the same I hear from so many men. He proudly told me he drank a big glass of cold water before bed because he thought it was healthy. And there's the paradox. That very habit, praised in countless health magazines, was betraying him. It was overfilling his bladder, jolting him awake at 2 a.m., and stealing the deep, uninterrupted sleep his body needed to produce testosterone and keep blood flowing to his penis. You see, erections are not just for intimacy, they are training sessions, rehearsals the body performs at night to keep penile tissue alive, flexible, and strong. They require deep sleep, and every time James woke up to urinate, he was cutting off that vital cycle. Instead of cold water, I asked James to make one small change, swap it for a warm cup of unsweetened almond milk before bed. He laughed at first. "Milk? You're telling me milk is going to make me hard again?" I smiled and explained, "Not just any milk, almond milk. Inside that cup is exactly what your blood vessels and hormones are crying out for. Almond milk is packed with magnesium, a mineral so many older men are deficient in without even realizing it. Magnesium is nature's muscle relaxant. It calms the smooth muscle tissue that lines your arteries, including the delicate vessels that carry blood to your penis. When those muscles relax, blood can rush in more easily. Erections are not about force, they are about flow. Without relaxed vessels, no amount of testosterone in the world can make your erections strong. Magnesium makes the gates open. But almond milk offers more. It carries tryptophan, an amino acid that converts into serotonin and then into melatonin, the very hormone that ushers you into deep sleep. And remember, it is in deep, restorative sleep that testosterone levels rise. More testosterone, better circulation, and stronger erections. And here's something else. Unsweetened almond milk stabilizes blood sugar. Too many men sabotage themselves with late-night snacks or sugary drinks. The body spikes insulin, then releases cortisol and adrenaline, stress hormones that strangle erections before they even begin. Almond milk avoids the spikes. It keeps your system calm, balanced, and ready to repair. James took my advice. He warmed half a cup of almond milk, unsweetened, plain, and drank it about an hour before bed. 1 week later, he walked into my office with a grin that looked 20 years younger. "Doc," he said, shaking his head, "I didn't think it would work. But last night I slept almost straight through. And this morning," he paused, chuckled, and finally admitted, "I woke up with the hardest erection I've had in years." That wasn't just biology. That was a man reclaiming part of himself he thought was lost. And it started with a drink so simple most people overlook it. Gentlemen, I want you to hear this. It's not about the almond milk itself. It's about what it represents. A small choice that signals to your body, I am still paying attention. I am still willing to care for my strength. When you replace plain water with almond milk, you're not only hydrating, you're calming your vessels, nourishing your hormones, protecting your sleep, and reminding your body how to be alive again. It's the simplest ritual, but for so many men over 60, it has been the spark that reawakens their mornings. Now, almond milk is just the beginning. It calms your body and restores the rhythm of sleep and circulation. But what about the restless mind? The anxious thoughts that keep so many men tossing and turning long into the night? For that, we turn to the second drink, one that has been trusted for centuries to quiet the nerves and gently restore a man's strength: chamomile tea. Gentlemen, if almond milk restores the body's rhythm through minerals and sleep, then chamomile tea restores something even more important: peace of mind. Because without calm, no man, no matter his age, can stay strong where it matters most. Edward was 72, a retired high school teacher. Decades of chalk dust and noisy classrooms hadn't broken him, but now in the quiet of his home, something else was wearing him down. He told me, "Doc, I lie in bed and my mind won't stop. Bills, my health, my kids. I stare at the ceiling, hours go by, and when I finally fall asleep, I wake up 2 hours later, soft and restless. I feel like I'm slipping away from myself." I could see in his eyes that this wasn't just about erections. This was about identity. Edward was a man used to being sharp, in control, respected. But now anxiety was robbing him of sleep and in turn, stealing his strength as a man. Here's the truth: anxiety is one of the most silent killers of male vitality. It doesn't just live in your head. It floods your body with cortisol, the stress hormone that tightens blood vessels and blocks nitric oxide, the very chemical your body needs to fill the penis with blood. When your mind races, your blood vessels constrict. When your blood vessels constrict, your erections fade, no calm, no strength. And for men over 60, stress strikes even harder. Because your system is already more sensitive, every spike of cortisol takes a heavier toll. That's why I introduced Edward to something most men dismiss as a simple bedtime tea: chamomile. Chamomile contains a plant compound called a pygenin. This remarkable molecule binds to receptors in the brain designed to slow thoughts, steady the heartbeat, and quiet the nervous system. It's nature's way of putting the brakes on a racing mind. When you drink a warm cup of chamomile tea before bed, a pygenin whispers to your brain, relax, let go, breathe, your shoulders drop, your breathing slows, blood vessels loosen, muscles release tension. And as you drift into deeper sleep, your body reclaims the natural cycles of testosterone release and nighttime erections. Remember this, erections at night are not just a sign of health, they are training sessions for the body. They oxygenate tissue and keep penile fibers elastic and ensure responsiveness. Without them, the penis loses flexibility. With them, it stays strong even into your 70s and beyond. Edward looked skeptical at first. Tea, really, doc? That's for relaxation, not for men like me. But he gave it a chance. Within a few nights, he noticed something different. His breathing slowed as he lay in bed. His thoughts didn't race as wildly. He slept longer, and then a week later, he came back to me with a shy smile. Doc, he said quietly, I woke up this morning with strength again, not just in my mind, down there, too. For the first time in years, he looked relieved. Not because chamomile was magic, but because it gave his body the calm it needed to do what it was designed to do. Gentlemen, chamomile is not about sipping tea like a quaint ritual. It is about reclaiming control. Anxiety robs men of their erections long before age ever does. Chamomile restores calm, and calm restores strength. By lowering cortisol, chamomile frees testosterone to rise naturally. By opening blood vessels, it lets nitric oxide flow where it's needed most. By steadying the nervous system, it ensures you not only sleep, but sleep deeply, the kind of sleep that makes you wake up hard, proud, and alive. Think of chamomile tea as a quiet ally sitting by your bedside. It doesn't demand, it doesn't boast. It simply helps you silence the noise of the day so your body can repair itself through the night. And here's the bigger truth when you calm your mind. You don't just restore your erections. You restore your presence with your partner, your patience with your family, and your confidence in yourself. That's what Edward discovered, and it's what you can discover too. Now, almond milk nourishes, chamomile calms, but what if your main problem isn't the mind but the bladder? What if you wake up not because of racing thoughts, but because of the urge to urinate, breaking your sleep and robbing you of your manhood? That's when another drink, a gentle yet powerful, steps in, warm coconut water. Thomas was 65, a retired truck driver who had once crossed the country with confidence, hauling freight by day and sleeping soundly in the cab of his rig by night. But when he sat in my office, his shoulders slumped, his voice carried a frustration I hear far too often. Doc, he said, I used to be the guy who never had a problem. Never. Now I'm up 2 or 3 times every night to use the bathroom, and when I wake up in the morning I feel drained, soft, and embarrassed. It's like my body is betraying me. What Thomas was describing is the cruel irony so many men over 60 face. They drink water before bed thinking it's healthy, only to find themselves waking up again and again with a nagging bladder. Each time they stumble to the bathroom in the dark, they break the very sleep cycles that fuel testosterone, repair tissue, and sustain the natural erections that should be happening in the background of the night. Without those nocturnal erections, the tissue of the penis begins to weaken, flexibility fades, and responsiveness shrinks. The body loses practice, and over time, so does the man's confidence. I told Thomas something that surprised him. It's not about giving up hydration, it's about choosing the right kind. Instead of plain water before bed, I recommended a small glass, just 4 ounces of warm coconut water. He tilted his head. Coconut water. Isn't that for athletes? He asked. And I smiled because that's what most men think. But in truth, coconut water holds a power older men need even more than athletes do. Coconut water is naturally rich in potassium and magnesium, 2 minerals that work quietly but powerfully inside the male body. Potassium regulates fluid balance, calming the bladder so it doesn't keep sending frantic signals to the brain in the middle of the night. Magnesium relaxes smooth muscle tissue, the very lining of both blood vessels and the bladder wall. Together, they keep the bladder quiet, the nerves steady, and the blood vessels open. Instead of being jolted awake by the urge to urinate, the man who sips coconut water before bed often sleeps through the night in deeper, more restorative cycles. And during those cycles, something remarkable happens. Testosterone rises, growth hormone releases, and nocturnal erections return with strength. But the benefits don't stop at the bladder. Erections depend on the ability of smooth muscle fibers within the penis to relax fully so that blood can rush in and fill the chambers. Without potassium and magnesium, those fibers remain tense, locking the door on blood flow. Coconut water provides exactly what the body needs to unlock that door. It nourishes the smooth muscles, quiets the overactive bladder, and creates the perfect environment for strong, lasting erections. Thomas was skeptical but agreed to give it a try. He warmed a small glass and drank it slowly about an hour before bed. A week later, he returned to my office with a look I hadn't seen in him before, a look of relief. "Doc," he said, his voice lighter, "I slept almost straight through the night for the first time in years. And this morning," well, he chuckled and didn't need to finish the sentence. His smile said everything. For him, that wasn't just about rest. It was about dignity. It was about feeling like the man he remembered being. This is the quiet but profound effect of coconut water. It hydrates without flooding the bladder, nourishes without overstimulating, and allows the male body to repair and restore itself through the night. For older men who wake up exhausted, frustrated, and stripped of confidence, it can be the difference between another restless night and a morning filled with pride. Gentlemen, what I want you to understand is that these drinks are not gimmicks. They are nature's way of working with your body, not against it. Almond milk calms the blood vessels and fuels deeper sleep. Chamomile quiets the mind and lowers cortisol. Coconut water soothes the bladder and strengthens circulation. Each one addresses a different piece of the puzzle, and when combined, they build a foundation strong enough to carry you back to the mornings you thought were gone forever. But there is more. Some men don't just struggle with restless minds or overactive bladders. They struggle with something deeper. Inflammation inside their blood vessels, stress hormones that sabotage testosterone, and stiff arteries that block the flow of life itself. For them, there is a remedy both ancient and powerful, one that has been trusted for centuries in the East but ignored by too many men in the West. A golden drink that lowers stress, opens blood vessels, and helps the body remember what it means to be alive. And that is what I will share with you next. Leonard was 70 years old, a retired mechanical engineer who had spent his career solving problems with gears, pistons, and steel. Precision was his pride. But when he sat across from me, his face betrayed a different frustration, one he couldn't solve with a slide rule or a wrench. "Doc," he said quietly, "I still love my wife, I still want to be close, but my body doesn't cooperate anymore. Even when I do get an erection, it fades too quickly. I can't hold it long enough, and I see the disappointment in her eyes. I don't want a prescription, I just want my body to work again." There was no arrogance in his words, only a mix of embarrassment and hope. This was a man who had always fixed things, and now he needed help fixing himself. I told him about a drink that men in the East have used for centuries, but that most men in the West overlook. It isn't flashy. It isn't sold in glossy bottles, but it is powerful enough to transform blood flow, hormones, and confidence. I'm talking about golden milk, a warm blend of milk, turmeric, and a pinch of black pepper. At first, Leonard raised an eyebrow. "Spices in milk, that doesn't sound like medicine." I smiled and said, "No, Leonard, it's not medicine, it's nourishment, and your body needs it more than you realize." The secret lies in curcumin, the active compound in turmeric. Curcumin is one of nature's most powerful anti-inflammatories. And here's what matters. As men age, their blood vessels begin to stiffen, inflame, and narrow. Erections are simply blood rushing into the penis and staying there. When those vessels are inflamed, the flow weakens and erections fade. Curcumin goes straight to the lining of those vessels, the endothelium, calming the fire, restoring flexibility, and allowing more blood to surge where it's needed most. But curcumin's power doesn't stop there. It also lowers cortisol, the stress hormone. Cortisol is the hidden saboteur of masculinity. When it rises too high, it blocks testosterone, constricts arteries, and keeps the body on high alert. A man may feel tired, restless, and disconnected, and erections become nearly impossible. By lowering cortisol, curcumin clears the path for testosterone to rise naturally, creating the perfect internal environment for a man's strength to return. And what about the black pepper? That tiny pinch multiplies the absorption of curcumin by up to 8 times, making sure every sip delivers its full effect. Without it, much of curcumin slips away unused. With it, golden milk becomes a potent ally. Leonard gave it a try. He warmed a cup of almond milk, stirred in half a teaspoon of turmeric, and added just a dash of black pepper. The first nights, he said it felt odd, spiced milk instead of his usual tea, but within a couple of weeks, he looked at me with a grin I won't forget. "Doc," he said, "I woke up last night with an erection so strong it startled me." My wife noticed too. She told me it felt like the man she married had come back. That wasn't just blood flow, that was dignity, that was intimacy reborn. Gentlemen, golden milk is not magic. It doesn't force your body like a pill, it nourishes. It quiets inflammation, lowers stress, opens blood vessels, and supports the hormones that make you who you are. It is nature's way of reminding your body how to function as it once did, even after 60 or 70. And here's the part I love most. Golden milk doesn't just heal the body, it heals the bond between partners. When a man feels strong again, the connection, the laughter, the closeness all return, and that is priceless. But even as powerful as turmeric and black pepper are together, there is still one more drink that works in a different, deeper way. It doesn't just calm or nourish. It rebuilds. It repairs the very tissue of the penis itself, restoring elasticity and strength from the inside out. And that is where we turn next, with a simple, almost forgotten remedy: warm bone broth with gelatin. Samuel was 68, a retired Marine. Broad shoulders, sharp eyes, the kind of man who had faced storms most of us can't imagine. But when he sat across from me, he wasn't the soldier anymore. He was a husband, a grandfather, and a man who felt something inside him slipping away. "Doc," he admitted, lowering his voice, "I feel like I've lost my edge. My body aches, my sleep is broken, and in the bedroom, I just can't perform the way I used to. Pills aren't for me. I want to feel strong again naturally. I want to feel like myself." That honesty carried the weight of pride and loss. Men like Samuel don't complain easily, but when they do, it means the struggle has become too heavy to carry alone. I told him about something simple, something our grandfathers relied on but our modern diets have nearly forgotten: warm bone broth with gelatin. At first, he looked puzzled. "Bone broth? Isn't that just soup stock?" I smiled and said, "Not quite, Samuel. What's inside bone broth is one of the most underrated tools for a man's vitality. Bone broth is rich in glycine, an amino acid with powerful effects on the male body. Glycine signals the nervous system to relax and lowers core body temperature just enough to invite deep, restorative sleep. And sleep, gentlemen, is not just rest. It is the engine of testosterone and growth hormone. Without sleep, your body cannot build strength or sustain erections. With sleep, your body rebuilds. But glycine does more than help you sleep. It also fuels collagen production. Collagen is the protein that keeps tissues strong, elastic, and resilient. That matters for your joints, your skin, and yes, even your penis. Erections depend on the elasticity of the corpora cavernosa, the twin chambers that fill with blood. When collagen weakens, those chambers lose their ability to expand fully. Erections become softer, shorter lasting, and less reliable. Bone broth restores that elasticity, giving your body back its natural ability to rise and stay strong. Samuel gave it a try. Each evening, about 30 minutes before bed, he drank a small cup of light bone broth with added gelatin. It wasn't fancy, just warm, savory, and comforting. 1 week later, he called me with something new in his voice, hope. "Doc," he said, "I slept deeper than I have in years. I didn't wake up restless. And in the morning," he paused, then laughed. "Let's just say I felt like I was back on the training field again." By the second week, his morning erections returned. Not weak, not fleeting, but firm and confident. By the third week, his wife noticed too. He told me, "She looked at me like she used to, and for the first time in a long time, I felt proud." That pride was more than physical, it was emotional. Bone broth didn't just repair tissue, it repaired the man inside. Gentlemen, bone broth is not glamorous. It doesn't come in a shiny bottle or promise instant magic. But it works with your body night after night, restoring strength from the inside out. Glycine repairs. Collagen rebuilds, sleep restores hormones, and together they reignite the power a man thought was gone forever. Think about this. A Marine like Samuel, who had lived through war, carried heavy burdens, and thought his best days were behind him, rediscovered his manhood with a cup of broth. If it can help him, imagine what it can do for you. And now that we've walked through all 5 of these powerful drinks, almond milk, chamomile tea, coconut water, golden milk, and bone broth, it's time to bring the lessons together. Because knowing the drinks is one thing, but understanding how they transform your nights, your mornings, and your manhood is where the real story begins. Gentlemen, as we come to the end of this journey, I want you to pause for a moment and really consider what we've uncovered together. For too long, many men over 60 have been told that fading erections, restless nights, and loss of intimacy are simply the price of aging. But if there's one truth I want you to carry with you, it's this. You are not broken, and it's never too late to restore what makes you feel alive as a man. We began with a paradox. That the glass of plain water you thought was healthy before bed could actually be robbing you of strength, waking your bladder, cutting off your sleep cycles, and silencing the very erections that keep your tissues strong. But instead of despair, we found hope in 5 simple drinks, nature's quiet remedies that work with your body instead of against it. James, the retired carpenter, discovered that warm almond milk calmed his vessels, nourished his sleep, and brought back the proud mornings he thought were gone. Edward, the former teacher, found peace in chamomile tea, as apigenin quieted his racing thoughts, lowered cortisol, and allowed nighttime erections to return like trusted old friends. Thomas, the truck driver, stopped battling his bladder with plain water and embraced warm coconut water, letting potassium and magnesium soothe his nights and restore his mornings. Leonard, the engineer, rediscovered his dignity with golden milk, as curcumin lowered his inflammation, opened his blood vessels, and reminded his wife of the man she married. And Samuel the Marine rebuilt himself with bone broth and gelatin, using glycine and collagen to restore sleep, repair tissue, and strengthen his erections from the inside out. Each man was different, each struggle was personal. But the solution was the same: respect your body, feed it wisely, and let nature work through you rather than against you. Now I want to speak directly to you, the man listening right now. I know you've had nights of frustration, nights of broken sleep, mornings of disappointment, moments when you questioned whether your best years were already behind you. I know what it feels like to wonder if you'll ever feel strong, confident, and whole again. But I've spent decades walking alongside men in their 60s, 70s, even 80s. And I can tell you, your body still remembers. It still knows how to respond. It only needs the right signal. These drinks are not magic potions. They are signals, reminders to your body that it can still repair, rebuild, and restore. 10 minutes each night, a warm cup in your hand, a choice to care for yourself instead of neglect yourself, that's all it takes to begin. And here's the truth, the impact goes beyond the bedroom. When a man sleeps deeply, his hormones rebalance. When his erections return, his confidence rises. When his confidence rises, his relationships deepen. His laughter comes back, his spark returns. I've seen it time and again, the ripple effect of a man regaining his strength. It changes everything. So tonight I encourage you, don't wait. Don't shrug this off as just getting older. Don't accept decline as your destiny. Start with one small change, pick one of these drinks and make it your nightly ritual. Then add another. Within days, you may notice deeper sleep. Within weeks, you may notice stronger mornings, and within months, you may find yourself living with a confidence you thought was gone forever. Gentlemen, your story is not over. In fact, for many of you, it's just beginning again. Before we part ways, I want to ask something of you. If this message gave you hope, if it opened your eyes, if it stirred even a spark of belief that your best years are still within reach, hit the like button. Not for me, but for every man out there who needs this truth to reach him. Every like pushes this message further, so another man who feels lost can discover that he is not alone. And if you haven't already, subscribe and turn on the notification bell, because I promise you this is just the start. I'll continue to share more natural, science-backed guidance for men like you, guidance that protects your health, restores your strength, and honors your dignity. Finally, I want to hear from you. Leave a comment below. Tell me which of these drinks you're going to try first. Is it almond milk, chamomile tea, coconut water, golden milk, or bone broth? Or maybe share your own story, the struggles, the victories, the lessons you've learned. Your words matter not just to me, but to every man who reads them and realizes he's not alone. Gentlemen, as I close, let me leave you with this. Change is not about giving something up. It's about gaining back what you thought you had lost. Your energy, your intimacy, your confidence, your peace. These drinks are not about restriction. They are about renewal. About choosing life, strength, and vitality over decline. So tonight, make the choice. Pour that cup. Take that sip. And as you drift into sleep, know this, your best mornings are still ahead.